Yeah, like announced last week, we want to present you here a new video regarding trades and how to see the profit and loss in your interactive broker. But I think for every broker here in the Europe Union, it's quite interesting to see how to calculate, especially if you have different entries and exit, your profit and loss. And later on, I will also present you a short summary of what we showed here, and especially what is the best place to see the right profit and loss here in your account management. For this, we will go now to the screen, and I will show you all the details here. Yeah, now you can see in the background here the trader workstation with the chart of Tesla, which you can see here with the symbol TSLA. And we did on Friday, or we did on the last trading day, a few trades with Tesla, but this is a paper trading account, so you can also see it here. But with the paper trading account, it should work exactly in the same way like what we can see normally in live trading account. First of all, maybe it's also important to explain in the trader workstation the different profit and losses, because normally what you can see here, the daily profit and loss, what is always shown from the previous day, is shown in the base currency. So it means if you have a British pound account, it's in British pound. Here in my example, it's in euro. But if you use Swiss francs or other currencies, it's always shown in your base currency. If you check, for example, the trade here, we can see we still have a position from Tesla. And as I traded Tesla in the US, of course, you can also trade it in Europe or in other stock exchanges. But at the end, I think it's also depends where's the best commissions. And I think in the US, you have the cheapest commission comparing to other exchanges. So the profit and loss here, the open profit and loss is of course displayed in the currency of the stock itself, so in US dollar, and on top you can see it then in euro in your base currency. And that's also something very important, because if you want to check now your profit and loss for certain trades, you have here under activity the first section orders, where you can see your open and your closed orders as all the trades were done yesterday or 2 days before. Here, this is at the moment empty, but in trades, we can always see in the trader workstation the last 3 days, all trading activities. As you can see, we did here only trades on Tesla. And also, if you want to change the overview, as you might know, you can change this here in the settings. I excluded some information what are not so important, but you can see there's much more what you can also implement or include here in the overview. But the most important is what I mentioned in the beginning. In the Europe Union, you have this first, or in most brokers, you have these rules first in, first out. So what we did, the first example, I think is pretty simple. We did a trade here with 20 stocks of Tesla. Commission was $1. Then 1 minute later, we bought another 20 shares of Tesla before we sold them at 6.27, all 40 of them. And this was a profit of 32 US dollar. I think this is pretty easy and pretty simple. Normally, it should also display it correctly in the trader workstation. For this example, it definitely worked, because if we check later the statements, we will see this is the same amount what we find in the statements. A little bit more tricky or complicated if you do this maybe over different days, like, or even different weeks, where you always buy some stocks and then later slowly start to sell some of this position. Then I think the summary here as a trade overview is also not correct. At least that's what we also realized with all the support what we did in the past with many clients, that there's always an issue. We also asked interactive broker, and we got the answer what I also want to tell you here, to use the statements. You can directly in the statements, I think everyone knows where you can download them. Even here for a paper trading account, you see it highlighted in red. It's just a simulated account, but we see all the trades from Friday with the Tesla, what we just discussed, the 2 times 20 shares what we bought and then we sold all together. And here you can see the realized profit and loss is exactly the same amount what we saw in the trader workstation. But now the next example, I make it maybe a little bit bigger, is I would say a little bit more tricky because we bought at the beginning 20 shares, then another 20 shares, then another 50, and then we sold 50. And everyone who's not really trading might think like it's the easiest to just sell the last 50 what you bought. But the rule is different. It will, like I said in the beginning, first in, first out. Always sell the first what you bought, means this 20, then another 20, and then 10 shares of the portion of 50 what you bought at the last. And you will keep the 40 from the last 50 what you bought, which we later on also sold here in another trade. And that's exactly where the problem occurs when you check the trades here in the trader workstation. Also, if you go to the client portal, I think here is the same possible also for paper trading as well. But here, if you check under trades, you can find orders and trades and also overview. But once again, the only thing where I never saw in the past any mistake in the trades, in the profit and loss, was the statements, because you use at the end also these statements for your tax report. And I think we are doing now the interactive broker support for much more than 10 years. And in the statements, we never saw any issue or anything from a client where something was wrong, other than what you just saw now in the trader workstation. So I think this is the most important thing. Of course, the disadvantage is if you do some trades today and you want to check the statements, you normally need to wait till the next day till you can see this here in the section reports, performance and reports, and then statements, and then you can just choose the duration, or if you just want to have a daily statement, you will find everything under activity. But to explain the statements a little bit more detailed, we made already a video in the past, what you can see now here in the right corner on top, where you see all the more important information on the statements, as well as we also made a video for the trader workstation. So if you want to know some more details for the trader workstation, you can also check this video now on top. But in the next couple of weeks, we will also present some new videos, especially here for the trader workstation. I mean, at the end, the trader workstation is the only thing what didn't change in the last few years. Client portal and especially the mobile app, there's always a few changes, but I think as the trader workstation has so many features, it's also important to show some more important things, maybe with some strategies or trading idea from ourselves. So I hope this was a little bit helpful and you could use this for your statements in the future, or if you have any issue to see not a correct profit and loss, then you at least know where you can check and where you should find it. Yeah, I hope you saw the differences, and especially if you have more than one entry and more than one exit, how the calculation is made in the trader workstation or on the mobile app, and that the statements are in the end the most important, where you see the real profit and loss and what you also need at the end for your tax agent or to declare your tax. The statements, normally there is no mistake, and especially if you see different prices in the trader workstation, always check the statements in the end of the day, or especially then the next day, because the trades will be updated in the next day then. So I would be happy if you leave a short like or a comment, and I would welcome you here also to the next video. Would be happy if you join again. Take care and see you soon. Bye bye.